night in D.C., LeBron James became the NBA's second leading scorer all time, passing Hall of Famer Karl Malone. LeBron James finished with 38 points in a 127-119 loss to the Wizards, and the Lakers fell to 11 games under 500. So yes, LeBron's milestone spoiled by Washington's comeback, but why can't this team and the Lakers, why can't they win games when LeBron is playing at the level that he is?
Well, you have to string together stops defensively when you're in this type of situation. And despite the gaudy numbers LeBron has been putting up trying to carry this team and even getting some help a lot of nights, Westbrook has had some really good offensive games as well for all the, all he's gotten this year, the criticism he's gotten. Bottom line is they can't stop anybody. They don't instill fear in anybody. They're not physical. They don't pressure the basketball. So any team they play gets very comfortable quickly because you can cut where you want to. You have freedom of movement. You're taking uncontested shots. You're getting what you want in transition. They're just not a good defensive team. And when you're in this situation, you're trying to make up ground and solidify your playoff footing. You have to be able to stop people, and they just can't do it. And I think they believe Anthony Davis is going to be the be-all to catch-all when he comes back. And it's not enough. It's too late. He's not going to have enough time.
Okay, well, so let's stay with that same energy here. The Lakers have a 2.5-game cushion for that final play-in spot. And I know you don't think bringing Anthony Davis back could be the be-all, end-all, but can he at least help their hopes in terms of then maybe winning a game in the postseason?
He's a Band-Aid. He's not a tourniquet, okay? He's not going to stop the bleeding, okay? The profuse bleeding that's going on with the Lakers right now. He makes up for a lot. You're talking about a super talented guy on both ends of the floor. But they went through this last year. He missed a big chunk of time, tried to come back against Phoenix, and really broke down immediately, and they got bounced coming out of the 7th spot. I actually think they're in serious danger of losing that 9-10 matchup and going home after one game, which is almost unthinkable. A team with LeBron James on it playing this well, Russell Westbrook, and potentially even a healthy Anthony Davis coming back. And I still think they could lose to a hot team with momentum like New Orleans if they end up in that situation. But even if they survive that, you've got to go play Phoenix, Golden State, or Memphis, somebody like that in the first round. I don't see them making it past the first round of the postseason regardless.
Right, which one of those teams much more complete, much more cohesive, of course, at this point. All right, Tim Legler, thank you so much. We have another star-studded NBA Wednesday doubleheader this week, and ESPN is where you can find it and on the app. KD and Kyrie and the Nets take on the Grizzlies and John Moran, who hope to play in this one. 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. Then it's out to LA for our West Coast primetime game between Joel Embiid, James Harden, and the Sixers, and LeBron James and the Lakers. Our coverage starts with NBA Countdown at 7 Eastern. Coming up, the Sixers and the Raptors. Joel Embiid doing what Joel Embiid does. He was impressive in this one. We pick it up second quarter. Sixers up by 3. Embiid drives, finishes with the reverse layup. Beautiful finish here by Embiid as he continues to make his case for MVP. Sixers would trail by 3 at the half. Fourth quarter is where we're going to go now. Under 7 minutes to play, and the Sixers at this point down 3. Embiid drives, somehow is going to get this thing to go and the foul, and then after a made free throw, we're going to tie this ball game up at 82 apiece. So now under 3 to play, Raptors up 1. That's Siakam. Nice fadeaway jumper. It's good to go. Raptors go up by 3. 7 seconds to play. Sixers down 2. This is when things are falling apart here. James Harden drives, called for a charge, and it's going to be officially deemed a flagrant 1 on Harden, and the timing couldn't be worse because the Raptors would hold on to win this thing 93-88. And so the Sixers were outscored 24-14 in the fourth quarter last night. And so Tim Legler back here with us on Get Up. And when you think about that, do you think that's just a blip, or is this something to be concerned about if you're a Sixers fan?
No, it was ugly last night, and it is absolutely cause for concern because I think they're too Harden-centric in those moments. I know you brought James Harden in to put you in a different place offensively and to bring you in this elite level playmaker, but it cannot be all about James Harden. This isn't the Houston Rockets of 4 or 5 years ago. You've got Joel Embiid on this roster. You've got Tyrese Maxey on this roster. They need to be included, and Joel Embiid, I feel like, tends to drift out as he wants to touch the basketball because James Harden is dominating it so much from the middle of the floor. He had careless turnovers. He was very predictable. It is a concern for Philadelphia because I'm worried about their depth and their shooting if this is how they're going to play. Because I think James Harden is not the player that he was several years ago in Houston. It's a little bit different for an older guard now. He's not as overwhelming physically. He doesn't get to the rim quite as quickly as he did. I think you can force him into some inefficient nights. When that's the case, you should be playing through Joel Embiid regardless. And Maxey, to me, is the key to the entire thing. He's such a talented player. He's such a spark. He played the entire fourth quarter with really no imprint whatsoever on what they were doing offensively. I think he defers too much to the stars because he's a young guy just kind of feeling himself out in this league. He needs to be much more included in what they do offensively. So, yeah, I'm concerned, and people in Philadelphia right now are a little bit concerned too.
To your point, too, James Harden, I mean, he was terrible in the fourth quarter. 9 minutes, didn't make a shot, turned the ball over 4 times, and obviously couldn't come up in the clutch. But now at this point, as we inch closer and closer to the postseason, what do you need to see from the 76ers that maybe will give you a little bit more hope?
Yeah, I just want to see them run their offense through Joel Embiid in tight games, in one-possession games. And I think their pace needs to be a little bit better. When they play faster and they're more decisive early and they don't stand and watch James Harden play, they're a much more difficult team to defend. I think right now what I'm concerned about is when you look at Philadelphia since they acquired Harden, most of their success has come against poor defensive teams. When they're playing against teams that are well prepared, well coached, and have the type of personnel to bother them, you see them bogged down offensively, and that's what I'm concerned about. It's all about ball movement and making sure more guys are included, and it's not just about watching James Harden try to close the deal by himself. Joel Embiid, to this point, I still believe he has a grip on the MVP. I think somebody put baby oil in it. It's hard to hold on to right now. It's slipping through his fingers, but you still have the MVP, I think, on your roster. He needs to be the primary focus of what they do in tight games in the fourth quarter if they want to have playoff success.
Well, maybe he can do that tonight because they've got a tall task in the Heat. Let's go to the West and what's going on with the Lakers. On Saturday games, because, you know, this is get up. On Saturday night in D.C., LeBron James became the NBA's second leading scorer all-time, passing Hall of Famer Karl Malone. LeBron James finished with 38 points in a 127-119 loss to the Wizards, and the Lakers now fell to 11 games under 500. Yes, this is great, okay? LeBron passed a big milestone. Wonderful. But here we are talking about the Lakers still. And
Right.
It's just not enough, though, for LeBron to put this team on his back and for them to get wins. We saw it tonight.
This is a team that defensively, they just don't instill fear in anybody. So regardless of the gaudy numbers LeBron is putting up, and he's had nights, even like last night, where Westbrook also plays well. It's just not enough because they can't stop anybody. This team defensively is so porous that everybody that plays them feels like they can get into a rhythm. Guys make shots. Guys become better offensive players than they typically are because they're so confident they're not going to see any real pressure or physicality out of the Lakers defensively. So that's really their biggest issue. Now, LeBron has been absolutely spectacular. It defies logic to see a guy in this sport be this good at this age and put up these kind of numbers. It's taken a toll on him, I think, mentally and physically. He's trying to do everything he can right now to put this entire team on his back offensively, and it's still not leading to the type of wins to make you think they can survive the play-in. They're in real trouble to get into that 9-10 matchup right off the bat and go home after one game. I know Anthony Davis could be around the corner, but Anthony Davis is a Band-Aid. He's not a tourniquet. And that's what this team is going to need.
Not a what?
A tourniquet.